So, can I ask you something? Did he tell you why he did it? Why you're here? Jesus! What a mind job. So you're here to save the world. What do you say to something like that?
Hi. So, how is everybody this morning? There's few things that come together here today, and I think it's going to be a very different session here. I will be much more philosophical and spiritual and not very practical. But you know, practicality is always urgent. It's the things you need to do right away, but they are mostly not important. On the other hand, virtual stuff, the things that you don't see and don't touch, is very important, but it's not urgent, so we just don't deal with it. So today, this is what we are going to deal with the important stuff, which is not urgent. Okay, first, I received a question here yesterday from David Large. I don't know if he's here yet. I don't see it on the comments. But it was actually a perfect fit in what I want to do today and what I want to talk about. I didn't put these things in order, but I'll try to get them in order as I speak. So he's asking, one question I've been meaning to ask. Can you name one or two key propositions that exist in your philosophy about God or reality that can be tested in the real world? Now, that's not $1 million question. That's all the money in the world question. And even that's not enough. And I will probably talk for the next 20 minutes just about that from many different angles. So the first question I would ask David is, what would it take? Okay? What would it take to prove these things? Like what needs to happen to prove to you that what I'm talking about, my philosophy about God or reality is true? What would it take? And it's not an easy question because you're going to say, show me God or show me, this or that. And it doesn't work like that. Because in today's world, with all the technology and all the digital effects and the 3D and virtual reality and all that, anything that happens will be explained scientifically, right? If God came and stood on the roof here and talked to you, or appeared on all the screens in the world, everybody would explain it somehow. So it's not that simple. And I'll give you an example from history. You know, the Israelites, after they went out of Egypt, right? They were in contact with God 24/7. He killed all the Egyptian, the 10 plagues, right, happened to the Egyptians. And then he parted the Red Sea for them. I mean, what more proof do you need, right? But then just a short time after that, when Moses went up on the mountain to see God for 40 days, they built the golden calf, right? And they said, this is our God. For anybody that knows a little bit of the Bible, right? They did not believe in God. In reality, today, people that believe in God much more than the people that were with God those days. Because today people are willing to die for God, people are committing suicide for religion. Those days people didn't do that. So what is the reason for it? I mean, they had all the proof that David is asking for. Like if you go through the Old Testament, through the Torah, what happened to the Israelites from the time they left Egypt until they arrived in the land of Israel, it was all miracles. They got bread every morning from the heavens. They got meat with those birds that were flying in every morning, and they could collect it and cook them. But yet they didn't believe in God. If they didn't have water, they wanted to kill Moses. Right? It happened all the time. They just didn't believe in God. And the reason for it is that you believe in God only if it comes to you internally. When it comes to you externally, it works only for a short time. It worked for the Israelites also. They every time a miracle happened, like after the parting of the sea, they had this song that they sang to God. Wow, what a great God, he parted the sea for us, and he killed all the Egyptians that were chasing us, and so on and so on and so on. But a week after, it was gone. Because it wasn't internal, it was external. And today, the people that do believe in God is only internal, because they cannot see God. They don't have any miracles to talk about. I mean, that they can be proven, just like David is asking. So the thing with God is very strange. The only people who believe in God are the ones that God showed himself to them internally, not externally. Okay? I know some things happen to me externally, which are like the most amazing, totally mind-blowing. But you know what? After a month or two, it kind of goes away, and you just, your mind makes it smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it's not a big deal anymore, like it was at that moment. But if it happens to you internally, you'll never forget it, because it sits there. It's a feeling that you cannot forget. It will always come back. Now, have said that, let me explain what are the reasons for it. Like, you see, let me give you another example from the Bible. And, this is a big, the religious people, whether they are Christians or Jewish or Muslim, they don't like what I say, because all of them believe in what I'm going to say in the opposite way. But, I think most people know the story of Abraham, where God told him to sacrifice his son, Isaac. And Abraham didn't say a word. He just packed his son. He took all the firewood and, I guess, the knife or whatever that he was going to slaughter him with. And he went up that mountain, Moriah, to basically sacrifice his son. He didn't say anything. He didn't say to God, hey, listen, this is my only son, and even though sometime before that, when God wanted to destroy the city or the town of Sodom, which was all wicked people, Abraham actually argued with God. He said, whoa, what if there is 50 or 40 or 30 or 20, good people there? Why are you going to destroy it? But he never argued for his own son. And the way it's interpreted by all religions is that Abraham was devoted, and he made God super happy. God had a party actually that evening because Abraham was willing to sacrifice his son. But in my opinion, it was exactly the opposite. At that moment, God realized that he cannot come close to the people because they lose their free will. And that was actually the last time that he actually went and close to anybody except Moses, which he used to execute everything. But he never showed himself or got connected to people internally, only externally, because they basically, I mean, if you knew that God is with you and everything, and you are like buddies with God, you wouldn't be playing in this show anymore. It would be over. So coming back to that question, it's actually a catch-22. You cannot prove that God exists, because if you do, then you ruin the whole play, right? But I'll tell you, you can prove that God exists, and actually the secret that I'm talking about in the book that I was going to, and I'm saying I was going to because I'm not going anymore, to reveal this, I think it's coming this week. I said on the 14th, on the 15th, and I'll explain in a minute why not. But that secret, that I call it the secret of creation, that God actually hid in this reality, that I think will prove the existence of God in a way that logic will not be able to fight it. But look at it in a different way. In one of my videos here, I show. You can probably see it in the thumbnail. I'm holding a bunch of Lego, and in that video, I actually did the research, and it turns out that this whole universe, with everything in it, me, the camera, you, my dog, is all made of 12 fundamental particles. That's how it is. And if you take antimatter, it's 24, which doesn't make that much of a difference. So everything that exists is made of 12 fundamental particles. So let's say those particles, imagine they are pieces of Lego. Okay? So what science actually is telling us, that everything that exists not only is made of these 12 particles, which is by itself kind of crazy, but it also tells us that those 12 particles assemble this whole thing, right? Because science says there is no consciousness, there is no God, there is no programmer, there is no anything, right? So it means that those 12 fundamental particles, those 12 pieces of Lego from which everything is made, somehow managed to also make this whole thing, okay? So right there, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, for a sensible person, never mind religion or anything else. The other thing is that, if the universe or this reality did not have a higher consciousness that actually makes it all happen, everything would have stopped with Isaac Newton. Science wouldn't continue from there anymore. Like as soon as Einstein came on the scene, and then the quantum theory, then everything that Isaac, some of those laws are still there because they are purely physical, but this uncertainty principle basically destroyed the whole thing. Because before the quantum theory, everything was predictable. We could have, if we had the right information, the right parameters, we could predict what will happen in a million years, right? But after the quantum theory came out, that doesn't work anymore. So what does it mean? If this whole reality was all mechanical, scientifically, defined, that would mean that there is no consciousness or anything here. It's all mechanical, right? But it's not. Everything is unpredictable. Everything is uncertain. So there is another thing to look at, right? Let me go a little bit more into the reason I showed that short part from the Matrix, where he says to Neo, did they tell you what you are here for? And Neo kind of says yes, and he said, "Whoa, what a mind job!" So in some ways, I'm not comparing myself to Neo or anything, but in some ways, I'm in the same position. And I always tell you that any miracle that happens, and that again includes what happened in the Bible. I mean, the Red Sea, when it parted, it's not that God said, "Hocus pocus, sea, please part." No, it says in the Bible that there was a wind, very strong wind, In Hebrew, they call it ruach kadim, wind of kadim, that blew through the whole night. And in the morning, from that wind, the ocean parted. So everything that happens, whether it's a miracle or non-miracle, which is actually the same, happens always in a natural way, because this is how it's designed. Otherwise, again, the whole show here of reality will break down. And changing the world, which I believe I'm going to do, again, this is very subjective, but I have 20 years behind me of things that happened to me, and when you look at me, you can see that I'm a very logical person. Actually, I come from, probably told you that before, from being the most materialist and pragmatic and practical, like as far as they go. And it says that if you have an important job, give it to a busy person. So if you have an important job here, give it to a pragmatic person. Don't give it to a spiritual person, because then they will take it and make it into smoke. And so I believe 100% that this is my duty here, my mission, call it whatever, which I enjoy very much, and I get it all internally. So actually, everything I'm telling you in all the videos and when people talk to me really doesn't come from my mind. It somehow comes to me. I don't know where from. I cannot even define it. I always say it comes from the collective consciousness. But what I wanted to say is that even for the change that's coming, and there is a huge change coming, it happens through nature. And I am part of nature. So if I'm going to do it, or anybody, doesn't matter, it's always going to happen through nature. It's not that God is going to come down here and start changing reality. It will happen from inside. It's always an inside job, okay? Call it that way. So that has to be that way. Otherwise, it's over. Okay? The dream is over. God's dream. Let's see. All right, I will go into a few more questions. If I don't answer your question today, even though I posted it on the blog, it's just because I'm trying to bring some other topics like what I did just now. And let me see here, that already took about 20 minutes. So, whoops. Yes, I wanted to tell you now, I almost missed it, why I am not going to bring out or reveal or talk about I will still do the rest of the book before the end of this week, but I will not bring up that trigger or whatever I call that hook, the secret of creation. And the reason for it is, again, it may sound crazy to some people, but this is how it is. Like I said before, everything I know and everything I talk about comes to me from the collective consciousness, meaning that I have some kind of a channel, even though I'm not a psychic or anything like that. Or maybe I am, but not in the conventional way. And I received a very, very clear and powerful message, not only through inside, but also from outside. People that are very, very psychic, and I'm connected with, came to me with the same message. So I got it from two sources. And the message was, just hold off because people are not ready for it yet. Few more things have to happen in this reality before you can come up with this. So I accepted, and it's not like I'm trying to escape or anything. I had everything ready to actually do it first day of Passover, which is on the 15th. Actually this week, but I will hold it off just because as much as I believe in everything I'm saying here, I also believe in this message. All right, so now let me just go see. Like I said, I will not answer all the questions just because there is many questions and some of them are very long. There is like 5 questions in one post, So I'll go here to one that is very interesting, and this is by Dvorak. And he's asking, maybe I'll read this whole thing to you, even though it's quite long. Hello, Shlomo. I think you have a very interesting hypothesis for God. What constitutes heaven and hell, and from them a neat derivation of purpose/goal for a life. How do tragic victim experiences in life fit in this picture? As an extreme example, a week-old baby is abused by its parents and dies. Now that drop of consciousness will relive its brief experience as long as it remembers by all the people who read the tragic news article about the life. In your model, is that heaven or hell or something else? So what he's referring to, and this is not the end of the question, in one of my videos I said that there is really no such thing as hell and heaven, but you can say that a person who was bad in this reality, right, and did lots of bad things, say Hitler, for example, when they die, that consciousness of theirs it's like eating from the tree of knowledge. They can see things in an objective rather than subjective way. Objective meaning like how most people think. And then they realize that they did really, really lots of bad things. So now they suffer for what they did, and that goes as long as somebody here in this reality remembers them. They cannot get out of that reliving of all the bad things they have done until they are forgotten here. Then they are either recycled or... Okay, I see that for some reason losing focus here. Hang on a second. Oh, there it is. I'll have to deal with it. I got a new camera and maybe I'm not setting it up properly. So bear with me if that happens. And vice versa. If a person did lots of good, right? So after they die and they enjoy as a consciousness all the good they have done, and it will go on as long as people remember them here. Once they are forgotten, they will be gone. So his question is here, what about this baby that's maybe a few weeks old and didn't really have a life, right? And it dies. So what kind of... and, I don't have an answer for it. I don't know. That's a good question. When I come up with a philosophy or a theory, I don't always think about all the possible angles. It depends. It depends if the consciousness of that baby is really mature, or is it like the baby? I don't know. I couldn't say. But then he says some very interesting things, and it's actually very much along the lines how I think. He says, my own thinking extending your model, my own thinking extending your model, perhaps what we call good and bad are artifacts of this virtual reality. 100%. There is no good and bad from God's perspective. Just like the laws of physics, hence apply only in this reality. When the drop of consciousness returns home from this game, the events have no moral importance. They are just interesting and different, as natural as how we experience different colors, i.e., there is no heaven or hell. I do think the concepts of good and bad are objective and as real as the laws of physics, and they are necessary to make this virtual reality work. So it makes sense and is crucial that various civilizations have built systems of justice to manage them. Well, I always say that good, bad, everything here is just forces, dynamics to make us perform and create experiences for the supreme consciousness that actually is dreaming this whole thing, created this whole thing because it was in nothingness. And I'll expand on it much more in this week when I come up with the rest of the book without the secret. Here's another good one, and maybe it's partial answer for David that is asking, prove to us that, how do you prove to us that there is such a thing as God? And this is from Manuela. Dear Shlomo, first of all, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the value you share with us. Thank you very much for the compliments, for naked and sharp wisdom. Wow. All right, so she says that This week, on an early morning, I was sleeping and dreaming about me and my partner being on a holiday in Dubai and meeting some of my friends and having good time. Dinner, drinks, clubbing, walking, seeing nice places, etc. So nothing uncommon so far. Later that morning, my partner sent me a message saying he had a dream about us. I texted that I had too. And I texted most of the details of my dream to him. He called me immediately and he said he had exactly the same dream, most of the details being identical. We both had the same dream and also at the same hour, around 5 o'clock in the morning. How is this possible and what do you think it means? Looking forward for your Sunday talk and feedback. Thank you, Manuela. Well, what it means to you personally, I would say doesn't mean anything. But it means a lot generally because in some ways, you cannot explain it by science or statistics or coincidence. You know, for two people to dream the same thing at the same time, you know, the way I explain it is as I explain everything. You know, our consciousness, which is out of this reality, right, is connected with every other consciousness that exists. And dreams are actually experienced by the consciousness, not by us, the avatars here. It's the consciousness which gets a break from us during the time we sleep, so it can, you know, it can get some fresh air, and that consciousness, when it's dreaming, you know, is connected to every other consciousness. So, since your partner is close to you here, is also close to you up there, and there is a connection. So somehow that dream, which is actually a virtual thing that happens, it affected the other consciousness, and it saw the same thing. It's almost like saying, you know, your consciousness and his consciousness were kind of sitting on a bench in the park and were discussing that trip to Dubai. So this is how I explain it, but it also shows you that things are not mechanical here and not scientifically, you know, it's not possible scientifically to explain it scientifically. Question here, what do you think about miracles performed by saints? Well, I cannot really answer that because I don't know what a saint means. To me, everybody is a person. Everybody is a human, and there's no difference between humans. So that would have to be more specific. And usually when people ask about miracles that are performed by saints, it's miracles that they have never seen. It's just they read about it somewhere, or somebody that heard it from somebody. So, you know, you cannot really answer that unless you experienced that miracle and you saw it, then maybe possible to talk about it, right? Megan, I will have to answer you, you know, in person. There's too many questions and I cannot really bring it up here. Okay, there's a short question here from Margaret, and she says, Shlomo, I remember you talked about a time when you went and you were at a silent retreat. In what way would you say that changed your life? Well, that silent retreat she's talking about was Vipassana, and it's a meditation kind of a course or experience that happens for 10 days. I guess for the last 2 years they didn't do it because of the COVID, but it's basically for 10 days you don't talk to anybody, nobody talks to you, you're not allowed to look at anybody, and you eat kind of very basic food. You go to bed at 9, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you meditate all day. So how it changed my life? It's very hard to define, but I can only say that after the first one, which I did, 10, 15 years ago, it definitely changed me because I learned few things about myself that I couldn't have learned. By the way, I said something here. I said that usually what's urgent, it's not important, and what's important is not urgent. So strategic things are not urgent, like, say, planning your retirement, right? If you are 18, it's not something that's urgent that you have to deal with, but it's extremely important, probably. On the other hand, it may be very urgent to call your girlfriend and say something, but it's really not that important. It would make a big difference in your life. So that concept I learned actually on my first retreat. Because what happens for 10 days, you basically are with yourself. And you can deal with all the issues that are not urgent, but extremely important in your life, that you don't deal with on every day. Because to be honest, I didn't really learn that much about that meditation. Somehow I didn't really connect to the whole thing. So I spent those 10 days inside myself, just thinking and being able to think about everything that I couldn't because of the rush and the urgency of a daily life. So when I came out of there, the first time, it took me like a week or two to recover, just to get used to noise and people and cars. And I think that it has a very powerful effect. It's just that it's not possible to put it in words, But you become a little bit a different person. It kind of shifts your personality in some ways, and that doesn't actually go back completely. So that would be my answer on that. All right, let me look at what we have here. All right, so we have almost 60 of you here, which is very nice. Good morning. I didn't even say good morning, didn't say hi. I got into this long monologue, but I needed to talk about these things. I just want to say a few practical things for you to, that one of the most important things to stay healthy and sane and happy, and you name it, is the feeling of being in control. Because if you're not in control, this is where you get all your problems. And people say it's stress, but stress basically takes you out of control. And in reality, you can always be in control. It doesn't matter what happens, because being in control is a mental thing. It's not a physical thing. It's a mental thing. That people sometimes go to, like, there is actually a very famous book. I forgot the name of the author. It's about the Holocaust, how he went through the concentration camps, and you probably all know that. I just right now it's not. I can't remember. And basically what he's saying there is that he was always in control. It doesn't matter what happened around. He was always in control, and that's why he survived. There is a funny experiment they did at the dentist. They gave people something to hold, a button. Say, if it hurts or something, just press on it. It wasn't connected to anything. And other people didn't get it. And the ones that got it had a much better experience going through the same treatment, because they felt that they are somehow in control. So try to always see how you are in control, because you are. Just think, in every situation you are in, you can say, you have to do something, and you are super stressed because you're not ready, and just like me with these videos, right? I'm always starting to prepare it at 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. So, but if you think, you say, okay, so what will happen if I don't do the video? Well, I'll just apologize, say, listen, I couldn't do it this Sunday. It's not the end of the world. So now I'm in control, because, I can actually cancel it, and nothing will happen. And most things in life are that way. You are always in control. Don't let yourself, because being out of control is usually when you're not aware, like you lose your awareness, and you start to be pulled by some forces that you don't see. And that's where you go out of control. So just as an advice, always try to come back. I call it back to the starting stance. I think this is what it's called in karate and all these things. And reevaluate your situation and make sure that you are in control. You can do whatever you like. If you don't like something and you commit it, just, or if you're running late to a meeting and it's extremely important, just call them or send a message. Say, listen, I'm running late and this is the story, and end of story. Don't stress yourself. Try to be in control. Another thing I wanted to say here, ask you a question, Many times, but YouTube and other things, they ask me, what is your channel about? Like, how do you define your channel? And you know what? I can never come up with an answer. And it's never on any of those lists. Like, it's not entertainment, and it's not education, and it's not religion. So it would be interesting to get your feedback. What do you think this channel is about? So I can have an answer next time I'm asked that question. All right. I will come back. I have one more thing I want to talk about. Remember, I was talking about what makes a superpower. So I want to touch on that again and talk about some current events and things that maybe most of us don't see. But let me go back here and see what we have. So, hi everybody. Many people are saying hi, and this is really beautiful. Sarah, is that the next chapter of the book? Well, every time I talk is some kind of a part of the book. Hello from Germany, Foggy Witch. Okay. Hello, Nitu from Romania. So David is here, David Large. I hope you were here when I was when I was answering your question here. Foggy Witch, it's evening. Yeah, I know it's evening, of course. We have a 9-hour difference in time. Hi, David. Sami, you come every Sunday. I love it. Good morning from Hawaii. Robert says that something God is within us. Well, it's a very complex thing. God is within us, or we are inside God. It's just. But I will really bring it in a much clearer way. This whole concept, hopefully by the end of the week when I bring out the rest of the book. And David says, you asked. Okay, actually I can put it on the screen here. Says you asked. Oh, it doesn't look that good. I need to get up so it goes on my shirt, then you can see the text. You asked the right counter question, Shlomo, and I don't know the answer. Ultimately, this means to be a difficult epistemological problem. Yes, it is. Maybe we get the proof every time we die. Well, but it's too late, isn't it, Foggy Witch? Hologram. Every day is different, says Robert, but I would say, yeah, it's not a new day, it's a different day. That's very true. Ratifan, Shalom Shlomo, Shalom, Sabrina. Oh, hi Sabrina. Okay, David again says, proof is too high a bar. Internal evidence can be doubted, as can external evidence, but mutually reinforcing internal and external evidence might convince me. What about you? Well, I have lots of evidence and I can talk about it, but not right now. Life Explorist, love your videos. Do you have 100% effective advice to change the reality of someone to a positive one, fast, like the chariots of Elijah? Well, if you want to change your reality from negative to positive fast, just do it. Just realize that whatever happens to you is probably correct. There is nothing there that happens to you because somebody wants to do something bad to you. It's just, it's just like swimming. You go up the wave and you go down the wave and you go up and you go dive and you go down. But you don't say every time you come down from a wave that oh God, what I'm down. No, you enjoy it, right? You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, and that's life. It's just that you have to accept the fact that it cannot be good all the time because it will become bad. There will be no reference. And and go back to what I said about control. And one way to be in control is to initiate things. Don't let reality or other people or other dynamics to create your reality, because that's very depressing. When you have to react all the time, it's very depressing. So if you want to change your reality very quickly, stop reacting and start to initiate anything. If you initiate something and you start to be in control, your reality will change within minutes. Believe me, try it. Okay. Is it possible to shape reality for other person? That's usual. Dilruba, is that pronouncing it right? I hope. Well, you can change or shape reality for other person, and you're probably talking about somebody who is close to you. I can even guess who it is. Let's say that you have disagreements with that person, or argument, or you see things in a different way. You will never change that person, and that's probably what you're trying to do. You're trying to convince them. When you say to shape reality for other person, you want to shape their reality to be like yours. That's usually what we want, right? But that doesn't work. What you have to do is shape your reality to be like theirs. It will achieve the same purpose, but it's much easier because you cannot change other people's reality, but you can change yours. So, and I'm looking at your picture here, I can see that actually fits what I'm saying. You have that character, that you're not willing, you're not flexible, you're not willing to adjust to somebody else. You want them to adjust to you. See, it's a small picture, but I can see it. Okay. So much wisdom, I'm listening. Okay, I'm just looking for questions. Okay, Color Wave Art. That's our artist with the blue hat from Germany. The Italian artist, sorry. Matteo. Okay. Today I had a realization that it makes no sense to judge and dislike anything in this reality. Just like in a video game, we better play it rather than stop to evaluate its elements. That's a powerful one. It actually connects to everything that I said before. This is what it's all about. You have to play the game. If you start you see the reality here, the game is a package deal. Well, it means that you have to take the whole package. You cannot, pick and choose. So yes, you're 100% right. It's a matter of importance, how Vadim puts it. Well, importance is what you assign to it, right? It's people and blog your channel is about. Okay. Well, but when I make a video, really, it's not a blog, right? Right now, those live videos are, but other than that, I guess it's more what I talk about, but I don't know what I'm talking about. I talk about everything. Understanding what reality really is. Well, that's not easy. Hello, Maya from Egypt. Actually, I was in Egypt a few times, but not as a tourist. It's a crazy world. Okay, your channel is about new thinking allowed. Oh, I like that. Yeah, new thinking is always allowed. It's just that we limit ourselves. Okay, can we connect with the world leaders' consciousness and give them perspective? Stop war, share resources, etc. Well, unfortunately, most of world leaders are not connectable. They are totally sealed in their own bubble, and they don't connect to anything. And this is the problem we have, right? It's very, very, I wouldn't say not even very few. There isn't today any world leader that you can say that is kind of connected, that you can They are almost like 100% avatars. But I will talk about it in a minute. Maya, I was wondering, can believing, having faith be considered an action in itself? Well, it depends what you believe in. Are you talking about God? Having faith in God? No, this is not an action. This is actually passing the responsibility to somebody else so you don't have to deal with it. It's the opposite of action. I mean, it's okay to believe and everything, but if you, like most religious Jewish people, they always write in every letter or in every document, they say, God willing, God willing, God willing. So basically, they are passing the responsibility to God, and they don't have anything. They are not doing anything. It's just God is doing for them. So that's not action. No, it's not. I need to be full-time career for that. Thanks for your answer, Shlomo. I'm in a situation where I need to be full-time career for that. I pay carers, but it's expensive and still do take decisions. Quick shift would be instant healing. Well, I'll give you another answer. This is the question. I don't know if you can see it really because it's hard to see on the background, I think, of the screen. But yeah, I see it on my iPhone here. I'm looking on the transmission. It's actually quite delayed. When I say something, it takes about 10-15 seconds before it appears. It's like the sun's rays, that it takes 8 minutes for the sun rays to reach Earth. So if the sun was to explode at this moment, you wouldn't know about it for 8 minutes. So Life Explorist, I can give you an answer and think about it, is that if you have a problem that has no solution, which, this kind of looks like a catch-22, right? Because your dad is sick and it needs to be taken care of. And on the other hand, maybe financially it's a problem. And there's no solution because you don't have time to earn money to pay for the carers, but you cannot, so you are stuck, right? So when you have a problem like that, rather than trying to resolve it, try to replace it with another problem which has a solution, even if it's completely crazy and very difficult, but has a solution. So try to replace that problem with another problem. And I don't have enough time to get into examples here. You can actually connect with me and I'll give you some examples of that. Or anything else that would give me freedom while not feeling guilty. Well, like I said, think about this concept that replacing this problem with another problem that has a solution, even if it's a very difficult one, at least it has a solution, because this one doesn't. To come back here on Earth, maybe it's nice coming to Germany. So Slipstreamer says that world leaders are only connected to dark forces, not visible to us. Just my guess. Well, there is nothing not visible to us. There is no dark forces. Everything is visible. It's just that depends where you shift your focus to. And there is no dark forces on light forces. Everything is humans. We create all the forces and all the energies and all the good and all the bad. And but most of us are followers, so we just follow whatever. Like we don't initiate. God willing could also just mean uncertainty principle is at work. Well, the religious people don't think it that way. They are very certain, and they believe 100% that everything is decided by God. Weather in Germany, okay. So David is asking, Drat, we have to wait longer for the secret. Actually, that's okay, Shlomo. I'm not so sure we are ready to hear it yet. Think timing is everything here. Yeah, it is. For context, Maya, regarding my question, there is a desire of resolving a situation with a person, yet I feel repulsed of taking action toward them physically? Well, just think good things about them, even if you don't like them, and it will change their attitude towards you. Guaranteed. Manuel Nito, I'm curious, what do you think about Dr. Joe dispensary work? Well, there is many people out there that talk about issues that have to do with reality and spirituality and manifestation and so on and so on and so on. And he is one of them. And I looked at most of them. I don't really sit and watch for hours, but I get the essence. And I can't really comment on everybody specifically because it's hard enough for me to comment to myself on what I think. And I try to be original. Like I really try not. Like I'll give you an example. People send me pictures for face reading. I have this kind of a service on my website where people send a picture and I do a face reading on them. And the best performance is when I know absolutely nothing about the person. I've never seen anything, and there is no hints in their message to who they are or what they do. Then what comes out is the best. As soon as I get any other information, either in their email or because I see their name and I saw it somewhere else, I'm biased. I don't perform as well. And the same applies here. If I start to watch other people, then whether I like it or not, it will shift my originality. It kind of, it just colors what I think and what I want to say. And I rather not have that. And that's why I don't get into, like for example, the Kabbalah. I never read it. I never read anything about the Kabbalah. Everything I know is because I came up with concepts and other people tell me they appear in the Kabbalah. But I never went and studied Kabbalah, okay, or read about it. Because then you become you become biased, basically. That's I don't watch or read too many of other people. I just look at it to see, because sometimes there we go again. Sometimes there could be something that will advance me in my, like reality transurfing, for example, advanced me in many ways. Even this whole channel, most people that are here originally came through reality transurfing. Because I did a video once, actually my most popular video, it's got over 40,000 views, and I summarized reality transurfing in 4 paragraphs. So these things do help, but I use them for my own advancement. I don't really try to become a follower or make it as my role model or anything like that, because I like to get over it, go higher. What else is here? Momchir is saying, nice to see you on live stream. What is your suggestion on finding life purpose? What to do for living that brings satisfaction and fun when one has no idea or certain direction to follow? So I already answered that a few times. And my answer to this is very simple. See what you are good at, maybe more than one thing, and something that you really enjoy, and then find how to make it into something that people will also enjoy it. It will help them, it will solve some problem for them or do something good for them, and they are willing to pay for it. And that will be your ideal way of making a living and enjoying, right? Like if you like to, I don't know, if you like to paint, right? Find what kind of painting people are willing to pay for that they like. Don't paint only what you. I think I said that to Matteo once. Don't paint and do what you like and say, you know what, I'm just gonna do what I like because I want to be original. No, you have to see what people like, right? So, I am also in some ways I'm doing that, right? I came here to change the world, and I was actually going to deal mostly with religious issues, believe it or not, when I started this whole thing. But then I adjusted to what people want. And that's why you are here. Because if I did only what I want to say and what I want to do, then most likely there wouldn't be that many of you here. I still eventually will say everything that I wanted to say, but I'll just do it in a way that goes through your preferences, your emotions, and your, what you like and your logic. So this is my advice to you, Momchil. All right. So now I want to say something about current events. And, this is not financial advice or anything, so don't take it as such. Same as other things, like I'm not a doctor and I'm not a financier or anything, but I just observe stuff. And, talking about the Ukraine-Russia situation, and I'm not going to get into the issues that are out in the news. That's really not important to me. But if you realize is that for the last, I don't know how many years, probably even before the Second World War, the whole world is basically operating on the US dollar. Even after the euro was introduced and so on, the US dollar, is basically the currency, de facto currency of the world. And why is America always considered a rich country? And if you lived under the communist regime, they had those caricature, those comics about the American, with the U.S. with the dollar sign and all that, because the Americans were always rich, and wherever they went, they could buy everything because they print the dollar. They can print as much as they want, right? And I don't know if you know or not, but back in the 70s, I think, there was a deal made between the US and the Saudis, which were the largest oil producer, and they invented what it's called the petrodollars. So it meant that every transaction in the world that's done with oil has to be done in US dollars. And, if you say you are in a club, and there is 50 people in that club, and one day you decide that you don't like most of them, say you don't like 40 of them, and you boycott 40 of those people out of the 50, guess what happens? Who is actually boycotted? You are boycotted, right? Because now you are in the minority, and there is 40 people out there that, they say the hell with you. And I think this is exactly where we are going, because we have China, which is the superpower of manufacturing. Basically, it makes every product almost that we consume here. Like most of my equipment that I'm sitting on the desk here, the camera, the screens, the microphone, the iPhone here on my left, you name it, it's all made in China. And then Russia, if you didn't know, is the largest producer of oil in the world. And then take all the little countries, Iran and Venezuela, and so Those are all the members of the club. And comes this one guy and says, you know what, I boycott you. I'm going to put all these sanctions on you, and I will not let you use the SWIFT banking system, And you know what? At the end of the day, that club may start using totally different currencies. Maybe that's why the Bitcoin is so successful. And that one member of the club that's boycotting everybody is going to find themselves with dollars that don't get accepted anywhere. Anyway, just a thought. I even was thinking that Putin did this whole thing with Ukraine so that he can get out of the SWIFT system and he can start charging rubles for the oil, because he couldn't have done it any other way. It would be a declaration of war on the West. But here, they did it by themselves for him. So it could very well be that everything he's doing in Ukraine is just to achieve what he just achieved. You see? Anyway, that's just a different look on current reality, so make you think a little bit. Yeah, Manuel Onito says, I discovered you through reality transurfing. Most people discovered me through reality transurfing. And I would really appreciate if you spread the word and bring some more people here that are kind of receptive to this kind of undefined channel. Let's see how long we are on for. Oh. Wow, it's longer than the last one. Let's see if there is anything else here. Yeah, so, like I always say, I really, really enjoy this. I would like to get you to write more on the blog. And, as it increases, I may not be able to answer all the questions, but I will go back there and answer every single question in writing on the blog itself. I will not leave anything unanswered. And, would like to see more of you reaching out to me through talkforlife.com. I don't want to do a sales pitch here, but from evidence and experience, I can see that I make a big difference in people's lives. And, I like to do that too. So have a wonderful week without any nasty surprises. And I hope you manage. Actually, I know you will manage after this session to create a better reality for yourself. So take care, and all the best to you.